old day, just over it. Because here we are again. And the questions of why, how, continue to swirl in a concoction of frustrating, agonized exhaustion. Before I get fully into this, trust that when I say white people, I'm not saying it as a blanket statement individually, well, to most, but to those that are aware and weaponize their systemic leverage and privilege. So, if you are offended, well, shit. To quote my southern cousins, a hit dog will holler, won't it? I want you to hear something for a minute. Because one of the reasons this systemic issue keeps happening is for the last 400 years we've been conditioned to fear the white man so much so that till this very day it's been passed down for us to continue to seek his approval in our everyday lives. Sit up, put on a tie, speak proper, work twice as hard to get half the recognition. Oh, you really need that job, so don't say that. Dress the part to get the part. They're all things that are driven home to a majority of us as tactical tools of survival. For most of us, these tools have been indoctrinated well beyond and before we learn that it's not only okay, but it's empowering to our being to stand up for yourself, speak your truth, and hold those that do you wrong accountable. Because the media push, turn the other cheek. Hold those that do you wrong accountable. We were told not to look white men in the eye, to say yes sir with our head down, to turn a blind eye when he accosted our women and disrespected our children. You know, I know these things have been passed down and still carried out to this day. Ask yourself, when you see another brother, why do we give a head nod up, whether we know them or not? But a white guy, it's a head down now, a head nod down, as it is with our elders. It's an indoctrinated condition of respect that is often not mutual. But we'll table that discussion for another day. The past 24 hours have been exasperating because it's one thing to be black and proud, and another to be black during a pandemic, which is ironic because being black in this country is a pandemic in itself. It's like living double jeopardy with two things out of your control that can seemingly take you under. And yet again, only us, the sweet, sweet soul of black folks with memes about the Rona and Karen gonna Karen. Only us can entertain ourselves in times like this because we've learned to laugh to help us cope from an internal tearing at our soul. Our unique way to process the overfire in the synapses trying to make sense of the twisted Foucault pendulum of despair. But yet again, we're back in 2020 asking the same questions as before. The same questions as when the child, Emmett Till, was brutally beaten and lynched by a mob of white men for allegedly whistling at a white woman. Which was later proved publicly, and we already knew it was a lie, by the very woman that lied about it. And yet, she faced no retribution from that. You see, Amy Cooper isn't new. Nor any of the numerous Karens, not barbecue Karen, walking Karen, basketball Karen, laughing too loud Karen, and the fact that some of us rush to post videos of accolades of brother Christian Cooper is problematic within itself, and another way we perpetuate our need for approval to validate our lives. The fact that he's a bird-watching Harvard grad and chairman of the Audubon Society shouldn't need to be used as a case to prove that he's non-threatening or worthy to live. To quote the great Ida Rodriguez, he could have been a sanitation man. He could have been a cab driver. He could have been selling a dime bag, but his life still fucking mattered. And let's not even speak to the irony of them sharing the same last name. For some, the system has taught us through its dysfunction and inability to protect us and provide equal justice that we must rush to flood media with the positive stories before they dig up something to further lynch our character through assassination of our character in public opinion. And I can't lie, being a film director, it's times like these that make me question my chosen path. I also know it's times like these when art matters most. Hell, I live by the quote, true art upsets the comfortable and comforts the afflicted. And I'm reminded by that quote that art is a revolutionary act. As much as I love being a filmmaker for the sake of the art, there's also the underlying deep understanding that the day that I'm at the level where the some are more valuable for what I do rather than who I am, may inevitably also be the day to buy me an extra 30 seconds of recognition that can one day save my life or that of my family. Then again, they murdered brother George Floyd in broad daylight, and he's the literal twin of NBA player Steven Jackson. And let us not get into the algorithms on the platforms to be that will take a Tony Baker Go Mob voiceover video on pets down quick as hell, but our public executions run rampant. There's a reason they want to contribute to our menticide during this lockdown. And at this point, when you know there's a tree in your path, you have to know how to stop tripping over it. I also want to take a moment to shout out black women. I love y'all. Black women. I also understand that being so close to God comes with a price. To be the givers of life, our protectors and voice of reason that's often not listened to, than to see your sons, husbands, brothers, fathers going through tragedy after tragedy and you still persevere to keep our families intact. I know it takes a toll and we love you for that. This system is set up, even when we do defend our women and our family and we're protecting ourselves, 99% of the time the outcome is instant jail and persecution. Look at Kenneth Walker, who fired back during a home invasion that killed Breonna Taylor, and he was still immediately locked up. He's since been released, and that's the only good thing that's come of this social media age, because we could bring more attention to those things that get swept under the rug, but have happened for centuries. So I guess my question is, where do we go from here? How do we stopgap the hemorrhaging of America's main artery, being black folks? The pessimist in me says, shit, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and everything's just getting warmed up. And it's funny how we could be indoctrinated with commercials about all in together over the virus we're still learning about. But the sixth leading cause of death to black men being police and other armed terrorists is right in our face, but it's looked at as a case-by-case basis. Once again, I digress. With the last few executions, it's a damn shame we live in a reality where that even has to be stated that way. But with the last few executions, I scrolled through the social accounts of various pastors and churches, both black and white. Was surprisingly not surprised that two of the white pastors with the largest churches, Stephen Furtick and Joel Osteen, have not commented, posted, spoken out on their platforms to their people about any of this. I understand we're good enough to come speak and entertain y'all for a moment, but clearly the conversation around our lives is too problematic for your pockets. Osteen had Devon Franklin. He was about to have freaking Kanye. Furtick always shouts out Bishop Jakes. But I do want to shout out Carl Lentz, who wasn't shy about calling it like it is to troll, saying he was race baiting in comments. And also my bishop, Bishop Jakes, for always speaking truth to power. So throwing my 2 cents out there, I say we start there with the churches, not the actors, not the entertainers, not the all-in challenge, but those pushing to reopen. The pastors that fellowship with multi-thousand congregations. Wouldn't it make sense that the very establishment that was the main institution of oppression should definitely be at the forefront of fixing the problem that was created by the very foundation of whence they currently stand? See, the problem is we don't need your social attention. I don't want your post. I want your systemic attention. I want your internal reflection. And I want your interpersonal accountability. Because the cops, the DAs, the judges, the doctors, the moms, the Karens, the Ann Coopers, they go to your church. They're in your congregations. They're paying their tithes. Start there. Have some accountability. Step up. If all lives matter. If we're all made under God's image, then why are you not speaking out to the very people that are perpetuating the systemic issues that continue to happen to us? That's it. So I say no more hashtags. Why? Because a hashtag is the trending topic. And I'm tired of black bodies only being paraded around as trending when we are dead. So no more fucking hashtags. Say their names without the hashtag. I'm Anthony Rose. Keep elevating.